I'm Aaron Fulkerson, the CEO of Opaque.
And I'm Marshall Kirkpatrick. Aaron, thanks for taking the time to talk with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's always great to see you, Marshall.
Thanks. So, Aaron, we are all really excited about generative AI. Is confidential computing going to play a major role in enabling adoption of Gen AI in the enterprise?
Absolutely. It's going to be essential to driving adoption of generative AI, not only in the enterprise, but even in the consumer space. You'll notice that OpenAI has actually put out a bounty for research projects on confidential computing in the generative AI space. Undoubtedly, OpenAI is interested in it for their enterprise customers, but across the board, I'm hearing from OpenAI, Anthropic, and others that confidential computing is really important to all lines of their business, whether it's consumer-facing or enterprise.
That's fantastic. What about business leaders who are considering adopting both AI and confidential computing? Do you feel like they are grasping the value proposition today?
Absolutely. For those who are aware of confidential computing, right, it's a pretty early technology in its maturation life cycle. What we're seeing is that business leaders in the enterprise in particular have generative AI projects that they've piloted with great success, and where they're struggling is moving those into production. And the thing that's blocking them from getting their AI projects into production, and by the way, we're talking about generative AI, but this is across all lines of AI, whether it's analytics, machine learning, and generative AI. But we'll focus on generative AI right now. You'll often see LLMs get deployed with enterprise data that includes proprietary information, customer data, as part of a pilot. And then when they go to move it into production, because there's a lot of excitement about the productivity gains for the company, that's when compliance, security, or the chief data officer step in and say, whoa, hold on a second. We don't know what's happening with this data about our company, proprietary data or customer data, and we don't know where it could potentially leak. And we're seeing that this is blocking most AI projects from moving into production until they can figure out how they can get chain of custody on the data and prove that it's being kept secure, private, and sovereignty is being retained.
Wonderful. Tell us about the platform announcement that you made today.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. So Opaque has released its next generation platform. We're calling it Opaque 2.0. Opaque is a confidential AI platform that allows enterprises and government, or enterprises and organizations, some are governments, some are other than government organizations, to deploy AI workloads on confidential and sensitive data. And the reason that they're able to do this with Opaque is they're able to run AI workloads on encrypted data. So it's very different from anything else in market because there's a lot of vendors out there who provide confidential computing infrastructure, developer tools. This next generation of confidential computing startups and innovators are really focused on business applications. So you see Fortanix that does governance and compliance. Opaque is the only vendor that provides an AI ops, what we call confidential AI platform, for data scientists, data engineers, and even business analysts, because in this latest release of our 2.0 product, we allow business analysts to use a no-code experience as a way to build Spark or Python jobs against encrypted data sets. So the key points from our latest release is obviously the no-code experience that we've provided for business analysts. Furthermore, we now can support Spark, like all Spark capabilities, Python, and we've made it possible for our customers to bring their own machine learning models to the platform to run on encrypted data. So that's a huge leap forward. Previously, what we had was a subset of Spark, some Python capabilities, and some popular machine learning models or frameworks that could be used. Now it's open to general purpose AI for encrypted data sets, which really unblocks companies' ability to move their pilot projects into production. And speaking of generative AI, this also includes new capabilities for Opaque Gateway, which is really a confidential control plane for generative AI. And how that works is companies are able to apply governance rules, things like PII redaction or tokenization, or proprietary dictionaries of entities that they want to redact before sending it to an LLM. And also the most exciting, I think, around Opaque Gateway that we're seeing, like with a major auto manufacturer, is the ability to provide user and group restrictions on data as it flows to and from the LLM. So that's the main points around the confidential, the new release of the new platform.
What's your favorite part of the platform? I get really intrigued by the model switching capabilities. Is that something that's exciting to you as well?
Yes. So just to elaborate a little bit on what you're saying, with Opaque, you can hot swap your models at multiple levels. Either you can take an existing model machine like a classic ML model and run it on data sets at cloud scale while the data set's encrypted. Or, as I think you're referring to, by having a gateway, you can hot swap the large language model. As this space evolves, which it's evolving very rapidly, we don't know what the cost dynamics are or what the feature dynamics of the large language models are. So it's really smart to build a layer between your large language model where you apply your guardrails and other data governance logic before it hits the LLM. That way you can hot swap the LLM. That's a very powerful feature that people appreciate. For me, what I like the most about what we're doing with the latest version is we're talking to like ServiceNow, who's a customer, or New York Stock Exchange, or Ristream, which is an insurance consortium. They already have AI workloads. What they've been limited by is the data they can use, either because they're masking the data and that hurts the insights, or they just can't use the data at all. So what's wonderful about what Opaque is doing is you can take the AI workloads you've already built and then deploy it in Opaque on encrypted data. So there's no switching costs. That's what I like the most, is it's very easy for businesses or organizations to quickly be up and running because they've already built the logic. They don't have to re-engineer or refactor the logic to deploy it on confidential data pipelines using Opaque.
Fantastic. What do you think the long-term impacts of this are going to be, either for organizations or for society and the world at large?
I think with confidential computing, the world clearly is going to get a lot safer in terms of data security. And we're seeing predominantly people innovate around the DevOps tool stack to make it easier for infrastructure teams and DevOps teams to deploy secure compute with confidential computing. And we're beginning to see application vendors build their applications and innovate around confidential data as well, like Opaque is doing with general purpose AI workloads, or Fortanix is doing with governance and compliance. So I think the world just gets a whole lot safer in terms of data. In fact, there's been a lot of news recently around data providers, like data platform providers, who have had massive data leaks. 540 million records leaked, right? This only can happen because when companies go to operationalize their data, they're doing it unencrypted, right? It's in the clear. And people used to argue, well, I'm masking the data, I'm anonymizing the data. But the reality is, you may as well not bother masking it, because anybody who has a ChatGPT Pro license can take the data that they've intercepted from you that's been masked and very easily join it with public data sets and unmask that data in a matter of seconds. That's a complete change in the landscape. Like, everything has been upended overnight and people are just beginning to become aware of that. So when it's that easy, where I don't have to be a programmer, I don't have to be a data scientist to unmask data, like, these AI attack vectors are so easy to use now, it's unprecedented. And enterprises and organizations in particular are beginning to wake up to this.
What are you excited about telling your team and the world about Opaque right now?
Opaque is a confidential AI platform that allows enterprises and organizations to run general purpose AI workloads on sensitive and confidential data. And the way we make that possible is they're able to run cloud scale AI workloads on data while encrypted. The thing that really differentiates Opaque from anybody else in market is not just that it's a confidential AI platform, but that our founding team came from the UC Berkeley RISE lab. And many people will know this as the place where Spark was invented, Databricks was founded, Ray was invented, and then most recently Opaque. And I say most recently, the research for Opaque began 9 years ago in collaboration with Microsoft Research, UC Berkeley, and Intel. And that research culminated with a product release in 2021 of a software stack that makes it very easy for data scientists, data engineers, or even business analysts to build and deploy AI workloads on confidential sensitive data, like I mentioned. So the founding team is a real differentiator. The other thing that's a real differentiator is that while other vendors in the confidential computing space are developing infrastructure or developer tools, Opaque's built a business application that a data scientist or data engineer or even a business analyst who's incapable of writing Spark or Python can use immediately to get value out of AI and unlock the potential of their sensitive data to build business insights.